Hello, fellas. This is Mr. Brown, and I am just recording a little video to show you all what we expect of you to collect during your senior service project. And actually, I'm going to go through some things just to put you in the right mindset as you collect these things. So bear with me. This will only be a little short video. You can rewind it at any time. It will be saved on Canvas so you can see it anytime you need to. Or you can feel free to email anyone in the community service office and we'll give you some direction. So let's start off with a few quotes. First, by John Steinbeck: I shall try simply to keep a record of working days and the amount done in each and the success, as far as I can know it, of the day. Just now, the work goes well. So what we are looking at for you to do is obviously record your days, record your working days. For a month, you will be working at a site with either adults or youth or elders or doing some hard manual labor. Whatever it is you're doing, you will be doing work, and we want you to record it in a way. Always carry a notebook, and I mean always. The short-term memory only pertains information for 3 minutes. Unless it is committed to paper, you can lose an idea forever. We want you to write this down, obviously. We want you to be engaged as well, but this is not an essay. This is not you writing an article for the Loyalists. This is not you writing a text message or you writing anything else other than this creative kind of notebook. Okay, and what we really want you to do is just be engaged with the work you're doing and want you to, at the end of the day or sometime during the end of the day, to use this to reflect and to put that reflection on paper. We never sit anything out. We are cups, quietly and constantly being filled. The trick is knowing how to tip ourselves over and let the beautiful stuff out. So, while you're working, while you're doing all of these things, yes, we want you to record, but we want these recordings or these recollections to be beautiful. We want them to be interesting, and we want them to be a reflection of what you are obviously learning and who you are meeting. But we want it to be beautiful. That is the trick. There are times when, in order to sustain one's strength over the long haul in God's service, it is more meritorious to take some honest recreation for the senses than to repress them. Honest recreation or recreation for the senses. I love this, obviously, from our patron, but we want you to be honest. We understand that all of you are not artists, and so what I'm going to show you in a second may or may not jive with you. It may or may not reflect who you are at Loyola. If you are an academic engineering kind of guy or an accounting and mathematics kind of guy, we still want you to use all that you have and all that you know into this project. So, without further ado, let me show you what we want you to do. This is the notebook that you are going to get. We have consulted some of your peers, and they thought having something that was interesting, having something that was small, easy to carry was better to have than some loose leaf paper stapled together. It's a notebook that will eventually become a keepsake to you that you will be able to look back at. They're very nice. These have all been purchased for you, so each one of you will get one, your very own one. I always say first one is free, second one is a fee, but we'll see what Dr. Rodriguez has to say about that. But we want you to keep it. We want you to take care of it. And we want you to fill it with the following: an honest record of beautiful stuff of service. What we are asking you to do is to create a scrapbook of sorts, all right, maybe a little bit more artistic or more interesting than just a scrapbook. And what we are doing is trying to gather items and tape them directly into a notebook for a duration of this project, and your project is going to last like 3 to 4 weeks. The seniors who are with me in my poetry class are familiar with this. Those guys are with you, they can tell you about it. But basically, this is what it looks like. Here is one student who found Monopoly money and used that money to write about it and to write something interesting. You will notice up in the top left corner there is a day, and there is just basically some writing about the money and writing about his life and spending money, obviously. Okay, it's short. It's really to the point, and he's letting the object kind of dictate what he wrote. This is one from a student who graduated a couple years ago, who went to a funeral for this woman here, and he took the funeral card that was given and decided to write about this woman and his relationship with her, and how he'll miss her. We want you to use 2 pages as a fold out to equal one day. If the 2 pages, if you fold your books out, you will see the 2 pages fold out quite nicely, and that gives you enough space to add um, whatever you need to add. Pictures. This student, Ryan Deutsch, decided to put a leaf in there, and it gave him room and space to write. And that's what we want you to reflect. We want you to gather materials and paste them in there, and so on. Do not overstack the pages. We're not looking for bulk. We're asking you if you could take photos. You could take photos. You could ask. You could get them printed out at Loyola. You could ask some of your mentors who are going to be working with you to print them out for you. But really, we want you just to stack them, and cut things out. And really, the main thing is to write about them. Here's one that Josh Ma did of our favorite track coach and cross country coach, Lalo Diaz. And you notice how Josh kind of talked about Lalo. And he wrote it in the first person. So it wasn't just like Josh looking at Lalo, he really got in the mindset of Lalo. You see the arrows and what they're going towards. And again, written in the first person. Now, these aren't things that Coach Diaz actually said, but these are things that Josh has learned about him. These are things that Josh obviously probably misses about his coach of 4 years, and so on and so on. So this is what we want you to do, not just give us a daily uh, recording of what you did, but actually try to get in the mindset of the people you are working with. For each page, write a few lines about what the found object evokes in your service, the site, any of the personalities encountered at the site, etc. We want you to, use different orientation. It doesn't have to be straight up and down. You could turn things around. You could let the whatever you've gathered kind of dictate the shape it should be. So orientation doesn't matter. Feel free to be creative. You could write things that are connected. They could be loosely connected, not connected at all. You have several things stacked upon. Pay attention to what you're discovering. So if you find, like this student did, an Uno card of 3, he wrote 3 columns, and each column has a 3 in it. Another student had a circular sticker, and so he wrote about his skating life in a circle. Be creative. We have some questions. How are you connecting to the work that you're doing? How are you in dialogue with different folks that you come into contact with on a daily basis? How are they coming in contact with you? Do they know your name, or do they know more about you than just that you showed up? Do you know more about them? The idea of this, the end of the month, is for you to know something about the people you are with. And for them to know something about you. If they don't know anything about you, honestly, you haven't really done the service. This notebook is really just a way to help you know them and for you to reflect on how they know you. Please avoid the basic. We are not just looking for you to jot down journal entries like, I did this, then I did that. All right, that's not the idea. All right, like this guy did, okay, where he was weightlifting, took some pictures, and then wrote like 2 or 3 sentences. That's no good. It's not you just writing a to do list or a checklist of sorts. It's more than that. Again, it's really how are you learning about the place and the people you've come into contact with. Again, there are times in order where we sustain one's strength over the long haul in God's service. It is more meritorious to take some honest recreation for the senses than to repress them. Okay? I like recreation. You could say recreation. Either way, we want you to be honest. We want you to be engaged with all your senses somehow, some way, and for this notebook to reflect it. Here are some more examples. So, be creative as much as possible. Belong to this notebook, belong to the work that you're doing. Later this week, Mrs. Grau is going to show you what we're going to do with this, but I'm hoping this gives you an example of all the possibilities. And please feel free to get in touch with me or someone at the Office of Community Service, and we will help you. Good luck, gents.